One grain of rice. In a humble village nestled between sunburnt hills, there lived an old woman named Amma Jaan. She was known for her warm heart and wise words, even though she owned nothing more than a mud hut, a few clay pots, and a small bag of rice, the last of her food. The region had been suffering from a terrible drought for months. The crops had failed, the wells had dried, and the people had started to lose hope. Food became scarce. Even the wealthier homes had locked their doors, hoarding whatever little they had left. One evening, Amma Jaan sat on the floor of her home with her 6-year-old grandson, Bilal. His stomach growled with hunger. His eyes looked up at her, tired but trusting. "Daddy, can we eat tonight?" he asked in a weak voice. She looked at her last handful of rice. Not enough to feed 2 people. She walked to the clay pot and gently lifted the lid. The tiny grains inside made a soft rustling sound, the sound of almost nothing. She closed it and looked at Bilal. "Wait here," she said gently. "I'll be back soon." Bilal nodded, curling up on the mat. Amma Jaan, with her old cane and tired steps, walked outside into the village square. There, dozens of sparrows sat on rooftops, also hungry and restless. Their usual crumbs and grains had disappeared with the drought. Amma Jaan took a deep breath and scattered her last grain of rice across the dusty earth. "Eat, little ones," she whispered. "Even hunger must bow to kindness." A few villagers watched from their windows. "She's gone mad," someone said. "She gave away the last food she had?" But Amma Jaan said nothing. She walked back home with peace in her heart and an empty rice jar. That night, Bilal slept without food, but held tightly in his grandmother's arms. The turning point. The next morning, the sky was different. Clouds, thick and heavy, rolled in. The wind picked up. Then, like a gift from heaven, rain fell. It poured over the rooftops, fields, and hills. The dry soil drank it greedily. For the first time in months, laughter returned to the village. Children danced in the mud. Farmers ran to the fields. The very next day, there was a knock on Amma Jaan's door. It was an old farmer from the neighboring village. He held a sack on his back and a smile on his weathered face. "I saw what you did," he said. "You gave away your last grain. That kind of heart deserves more than just thanks." He handed her the sack, filled with fresh rice, flour, and lentils. More villagers arrived soon after, bringing vegetables, blankets, and firewood. One of them said, "We forgot what kindness looked like until you reminded us." A new season. As weeks passed, the rain continued gently. The village slowly revived. Crops sprouted again. Trees turned green. And Amma Jaan's one act of selflessness had sown something much bigger: hope. Bilal never forgot that day. Years later, as an adult, he built a shelter for the hungry and poor. At its entrance was a wooden plaque that read, "Even a single grain, when shared with love, can feed the world." Moral of the story: true generosity is not about how much you give, but how deeply you care. When we give from the heart, especially in times of our own hardship, we create ripples of goodness that return tea.